Shweta, all good. How about you?
All good here as well. What's up? What are you guys doing? यार ऐसे कैंपस की पिक्चर्स लगा रहे हो मेरे को याद आ रही है फिर. First of all, like officially, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you, Akash, for arranging this.
Even we were in the same shoes as those guys who are preparing right now, so we completely understand. Like even I asked you
Thank
last year for the same video.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, I didn't make it then
Yeah.
also. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm realizing kitne time se this video was pending and finally it is happening. So thank you so much. So from what I get, and correct me if I'm wrong, all of you are agriculture undergrad students and mostly freshers. Like Akash had small gap, but mostly all of you are freshers, right? Starting off with the admission point, right? What is the average percentile that you need in order to make it to the FABM program? Now, of course, those of you who are watching, there is always some dependency on your 10th, 12th graduation marks and your work experience that determines the percentile that you need. But probably, if you guys could share either your percentile or you could share a ballpark figure.
9, 9, 10 profile, and my percentile was 98.3. But I think with that kind of a profile, something around a 93, 94 would also be good enough to get you a shortlist. Then your interview has to go really well to convert it.
Mine was 998. My percentile was also 97.94. A lot depends on the interview as well because it is a 50-50 ratio. You can get through at a 90 percentile as well.
I am hoping you do have batchmates because most of you are 998. I'm hoping you do have batchmates who have like 70s or 60s in there.
Yeah, we do. For me, like I scored 90.47 only, 90.47 percentile. But for people who are targeting CAT this year, I would say somewhere around 94, 95 percentile would be really great if you can score somewhere around there.
My percentile was 94. So, I mean, it wasn't that high a percentile, but, which really worked, I guess. The interview was really well for me.
If let's say someone has an average profile, by average, here I'm meaning somewhere around, let's say 70s or 80s in 10, 12, and in graduation around 60s. Then what is the percentile you would suggest them to target? Any ballpark figure in your mind?
Ballpark number, a very good target is 95.
Okay, so what percentile do you think would be sufficient for a commerce grad in the same case? Or any non-agri grad in that case?
Like, I guess, 97 would be a pretty good percentile, like for them to get it. Like.
What benefit do you think agri students have versus non-agri students for the interview or the shortlisting stage?
Yeah, so we have a criteria that someone related to the food or agribusiness in undergraduation or a keen inclination towards it or a work experience, something related to the sector is needed for the shortlist. So we have engineers, we have biotech graduates, and we have like commerce students in the past as well. But they have some kind of inclination or some relationship with the sector.
What is happening in the interview? That's my sense of what the institute is trying to look for is whether there's a willingness to continue in the sector. It's like a lead indicator, lag indicator thing. It's not so much about your lag indicators or your UG degree. It's about a very strong commitment that you can prove of staying into the sector in any capacity that you desire.
The next question, this can be a yes or no question as well. Like, did you guys also have the same loan opportunity that is the SBI Scholar loan or the other kinds of loans? Similar. So those of you who are watching, there's already a video on the channel that you can go and watch if you want to know more about loans. And I assume that there'll be many scholarships also, just like there are for the PGP program. What are the other colleges that offer a similar ABM based program? Yeah.
So there are a couple of colleges like IIM Lucknow, like IIM Ahmedabad, then IIM Lucknow, and then there are other colleges like IIM Niam, which is in Jaipur, and Manage, which is in Hyderabad, if I'm not wrong.
The IRMA's degree is rural management. It is not agribusiness management.
So there are basically, broadly two categories. Like there are colleges which take through CAT, which all colleges do. And there are some, who take through the JRF exam.
Yeah.
For ICL, like for, there is a category called agribusiness management through which you can go for an MBA in agribusiness management. So like there are universities like Anand Agricultural University and also IIM Institute of Agribusiness Management, which provide you MBA, through the JRF examination, like for the PG entrance. Right.
Okay, so how to make this choice? Which colleges to apply to?
So typically the campuses that select from CAT are more corporate oriented in their programs. You're much likely to get a placement straight after the program in these colleges. and the ones that take through JRF are more academically inclined, typically because they're in agriculture university. So if you're trying to get into thorough research, or you want to be a professor in management or agribusiness management, then you can think of those lines. IRMA is a separate application form, which is another good institute. So I think AL and IRMA are sort of the creme de la creme within ABM.
If you are an agri-based student, like agri UG degree student, how do you decide if you have both the options available, a general MBA and also an FABM or an ABM program? How do you decide this?
After CAT 20, when I got shortlist from both like KI and Shillong and etc., there was one workshop that I attended from Professor Anil Gupta, who's Padma Shri and who's a professor of IIM Ahmedabad, now a retired professor. He talked about FABM and he had answered a few queries. And at that point of time, I was sure that yes, I want to continue in this sector because the 4 years of UG and the knowledge that I have best fit with this program.
Before coming over to IIM Ahmedabad, I was already pursuing my MBA for a month. Like I just converted Narsimuchi through NMAT.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was there for a month, and my basic incentive for pursuing MBA and FABM over here was that, firstly, it aligned with my prior UG undergraduate degree. And secondly, I was targeting the FMCG sector only.
So in the current batch, in my and Stuti's batch, which is the batch of 2023, there's also a candidate who converted both the PGP Ahmedabad program and the FABM program, and she's currently pursuing the FABM program. This is not seen very often. So for her, and I thought on very similar lines for me as well, it is a very clear-cut decision about the demand-supply gap. It's not a no-brainer that the demand-supply gap for talent in the agribusiness sector is much higher. So the chances of you getting a good job and just being very comfortable and secure in the sector are much higher in the ABM space.
I don't know why this was asked so much. You guys could help me understand. Why are people asking how to prepare for the quant section as a non-math student?
There are schools and colleges where you need to choose biology or maths. So mostly Agri students don't have maths.
I was a PCB guy, and for all my life I've dreaded maths. Like I ran away from maths. But at the end of the day, even after you're getting into IIM Ahmedabad, you have to study these courses, statistics, and also solving it. 50% of the paper would fetch you a 90+% definitely.
Did you take coaching class like for?
Yeah, I did, but it was just an online coaching. I was just preparing by myself only.
And did you also use any self-preparation books or anything?
Yeah, so Arun Sharma is the Bible for CAT preparation. So there are different sections. Like for me, I was really strong in arithmetic. Like there are around 7 to 8 questions from arithmetic only. Take 2 to 3 sections like these, which you are good at or which you can strengthen.
Regarding the gap year part, Akash.
Yeah. So about the gap year, I mean, as long as you are able to justify it and you did something during that period, it doesn't matter. Like 3 to 4 guys I know were my close friends, and they had similar 1 to 2 years of gap year. Like I took up a couple of internships during that period, and also I was trading in stock markets and cryptocurrencies. So I was able to justify it, and we had a really great conversation during my interview on the trading part. Pursuing certification courses are really important. I mean, take up any course like digital marketing or Excel, which would be really helpful during our MBA journey.
And what about the agri-based courses? Are there any certifications or courses that are either required or helpful?
Not required, but if in case you've taken a gap and you want to fill in the time period just to justify why did you take a gap, I can recommend a website. It's AGMOOCs. So AG and MOOCs.com. They have a bunch of courses which are very closely aligned to agribusiness management.
One addition related to the gap year. It doesn't really matter if you justify even that you were preparing for CAT. Many of my friends have done that and they have justified that they were preparing for CAT. And that is a good enough justification. You don't need to say that you were engaged in this, you were engaged in that. That won't be required because
that's amazing.
For CAT and you are here. That is quite a good enough justification to give.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to it, like, so I was talking to an alum of Ahmedabad. So he had converted manage in the in his first CAT attempt, and he did not want to go there. He wanted to come to IIM Ahmedabad. And so in the next year, he attempted it again. He got an interview call. And, this was what he said in the interview, that I did not want to go to manage. I wanted to come to IIM Ahmedabad at any cost. And that's why I prepared hard for it. And today I'm here. There can be no better answer to this question. Like, you failed, you prepared, and, you got a call for the interview. Right?
Okay, so to those of you who are watching, many of you might not know that in the first year, FABM and PGP students sit together in the same classes and we study the same courses. Broadly, there are some courses that vary, but most of the courses we study together. So everybody would be studying finance, quant, everything. HR से लेकर के सब कुछ पढ़ोगे आप, strategy and everything. So you go through everything together in the first year, and the second year you select your electives, and most of your electives are into the ABM space. So what are those electives like?
So in the first year, as you said, everything is identical. There's no change at all. There's just a couple of courses, one on value chain management and one on rural sociology that you take in addition to the PGP courses in the first year. Then you diversify into your electives, which are all Agri aligned. So a good way to sort of put it is whatever domains you have, like finance, HR, marketing, just add the prefix agriculture to that. So you have agriculture marketing, agriculture finance, agriculture consulting, agriculture strategy in the second year. I think between the first year and second year, just before your summers, you will go on a rural immersion program into the villages. It's a 10-day program. It's compulsory. So that is when you'll have some exposure, on ground into the rural society.
And what about exchange? Like, are you guys allowed to go on exchange? Did you guys go on exchange, like both of you?
No, like we didn't choose to go on exchange. I guess this time 7 of them have gone for exchange. Yeah, 7 of them have gone for exchange right now in this term.
If let's say, and here is the question that I wanted to ask you also, Jayam, that if you go to Godrej, let's say there's also a PGP student joining Godrej, and there's also an FABM student joining Godrej at the same position, then is the pay scale any different?
Yeah, we can take the example of like common firms that come for placement for both the batches, like PNG,
RB, KPMG, EY.
KPMG, Accenture. So these firms give similar package to both PGP and FABM students. There's no pay scale difference. If a firm is open for both the courses, it will give similar package.
You can look at the IPRS placement report. Yeah. Something that I can say is at Ahmedabad, the report and reality are in total sync. What numbers you're seeing there are absolute realities. There is no inflating of the report which is going on. In terms of the split, I think it is close to a 50-50 split between startups and MNCs.
How is the split for agri-based companies versus the non-agri-based companies? What are the different functions that come for hiring on campus?
Majority of the firms will be from agri, a few from the food sector, that is the FMCG sector. So the roles that have been offered are quite diverse, like consulting firms such as Accenture, KPMG have also come in, and then sales and marketing is the major role that is being offered. And apart from that, Prodman, operations, supply chain, and Genman role has also been offered.
Yes, FMCG dominates the non-agri section of the companies. Second probably would be finance. So a couple of finance companies would also take you, but again, for a role which is more aligned to agriculture, something like a rural risk assessment or rural finance kind of a role. But you can go into the streamline major finance companies as well, and they do have openings. Consulting, again, is something which has opened up recently. But chances are you will most likely be given assignments related to agriculture even after joining the firm. You're joining the same firm, same pay scale, everything, but then it's likely that you take up assignments related to sustainability or carbon credits or agriculture production or something like that.
Let us say throughout the course or even in the job after 1 or 2 years, someone is not happy with the sector. Then do they have the possibility of switching? Because this is just a question that a lot of people will also have.
So you can always go out of the sector and come in back. So I was talking to an alum from his batch, that is 2004 batch. Only 4 to 5 of them are still there in the sector. Rest others have moved out of the sector. Okay. So it is their interest that has kept them in the sector, and others have moved out. So that switching part is very easy.
We've mostly covered all the questions that were asked. In case there is anything else that will be left, I'll just request these guys to add it in the comments because they always have more questions. And thank you so much for doing this. Like, I can't thank you guys enough